East Aurora Union Free School District, and I thank you for joining us today for the 2026 East Aurora High School Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame event. The district is very pleased to collaborate with the East Aurora Educational Foundation for the presentation of these awards. I've always been so impressed with the inductees, and this year is no exception. But before we get started with today's presentation, I want to take a moment to thank the foundation for their ongoing support of innovative programming throughout the district. They have donated more than $1.3 million of funds to programs like sustainable agriculture, the CNC machine at our high school, and the upgraded machines in the middle school technology digital fabrication lab. Today you're going to be at the high school, and our students in our Blue Diebolt design program are working with the CNC machine, and they're creating furniture. And so I hope you get a chance to stop by, because their work is really incredibly impressive, and none of that would have been possible without the very great generosity of our foundation. So we are very grateful for them. So without further ado, I will turn the program over to our high school principal, Bill Roberts, who will introduce this year's recipients. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Mr. Russ said, my name is Bill Roberts, proud principal of East Aurora High School. I have to admit, if I look a little frazzled, I just got a call that our PA system and bell system is on the fritz because of the power outage yesterday. So that's what is blowing up my phone right now. So if I'm grabbing my chest, it's not a heart attack, it's my phone. So life of a high school principal, right? But we'll hopefully have it resolved by the time you come up and visit us in a few hours. East Aurora High School Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame awards are presented to graduates whose achievements, service, strength of character serve as role models to inspire and challenge current students. And this, quite honestly, is an exceptional class that we are inducting today. Award recipients have achieved excellence, have made significant contributions to their profession and their community. And this morning, we are proud to recognize and honor 5 such outstanding graduates from East Aurora High School. I do want to also make note that I have a number of our student leaders here in the corner who've enjoyed a wonderful breakfast, and I'm thrilled that they're here to be a part of this ceremony, and they'll also be your tour guides when you come up to the high school at the end of the ceremony. So let's start. Our first awardee, Christopher Connor, and he's going to be introduced by Angela Connor. So come on up.
He's now worked at UB for over 30 years, and he started as a student writing parking tickets and working at the IT help desk. He then made his way into various enrollment support positions and leadership positions at the undergraduate and graduate levels. He is now the Vice Provost for Enrollment Management. He is internationally published and recognized expert in the field of enrollment management and an advocate for the importance of international higher education. He is a member of the UB President's Cabinet and a recipient of the State University of New York Chancellor's Award for Professional Service. He was named one of the top 50 professionals in international education in North America. Aside from all of these professional credentials, he's contributed to our community through his time at the UB Child Care as the president. He's also been a coach, coaching youth baseball and youth and high school swimming. Most importantly, he is a great husband and father of our 2 children. Chris has achieved what I hope for our children, not to be the valedictorian of their class or attend Ivy League college, but rather someone with hard work, determination, and interest in a field has flourished into someone who is recognized as exceptional in his profession. And with that, my husband, Christopher Connor.
Good morning. It is truly an honor to be here today and to be recognized by the East Aurora Educational Foundation and East Aurora High School as a part of the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. I'm deeply grateful for this recognition, and I want to sincerely thank everyone involved in making today possible. I have to say, when I found out about this honor, I will never forget the way I did. I was at Disney World in Orlando with my family when my phone rang, and I saw it was Jay Hoagland. My stomach started to churn, as many of us still think of him as Dr. Hoagland, our principal. And I have to admit, my first thought was not I was getting inducted into the Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. My first thought was, what did I do wrong? What did they find out about me? Are they taking my degree away from me? Because when your former principal calls you unexpectedly, even decades later, some part of you immediately becomes a high school student again, and that was me. Fortunately, this was one of those rare principal office calls that turned out to be good news. Jay told me I had been selected for this honor, and I was genuinely surprised, humble, and grateful. It made the moment even more meaningful for me to have the call from him, bringing me directly back to the high school, this community, and the people who helped shape my life. Coming back to East Aurora always means something special to me. This community helped shape who I am. East Aurora High School was where I began to discover myself, not all at once and certainly not perfectly, but through the experiences, people, and opportunities that surrounded me here. When I think back on my time at East Aurora High School, I do not think of just one thing. I think about the full experience. I played football, I played a little baseball, I ultimately quit baseball. I swam quite a bit, and we'll get to that later a little bit. I was in the band, I studied Spanish, and through all of those experiences, I was learning more than just academics or activities. I was learning about discipline, teamwork, curiosity, perseverance, and the importance of being open to the world around me. I was also fortunate to have teachers and classmates who expanded my view of the world. Growing up with my classmate friend from Japan, Takuya Arai, who attended East Aurora schools, gave me an appreciation for the world that was bigger than my own experience. My Spanish studies opened that up even further. The late Herbert Schindler was part of the Spanish class trip to take me to Mexico during the spring break in 1991, and that left a lasting impression on me and helped shape who I am today. Then between my junior and senior year, Don Dwarfline, Don Tomaski, Spanish class gave me the opportunity to experience Europe and travel to Spain and France. And the late Michael Gomlak, through his global experiences and stories, brought wider world into the classroom. Together, those experiences and those teachers helped me understand not how only the world is large, but also how much we share in common. They gave me an appreciation for different cultures, different perspectives, and the idea where we come from, people are often striving for many of the same things: opportunity, connection, purpose, and a better future for their families and communities. The perspectives have stayed with me throughout my life and in my work and far beyond it. But what stands out to me even more than the activities are the people. As you get older, you realize whatever success you have in life is never yours alone. It is built on the investment, patience, encouragement, and belief of others. I was fortunate to have remarkable teachers and coaches here in East Aurora who helped shape me differently. The late Dave Schultz was especially influential in helping me develop as a writer, thinker, and communicator. His advice, his unique way of looking at the world, and his ability to challenge students to think with passion about what they believed brought out the best in all of us. He encouraged analytical thinking with a creative flair, shaping the way I approach ideas, language, and the leadership to this day. Dr. Thomas Callahan taught me the importance of writing clearly and communicating well. Rocco Amuso in band taught me to be myself. And the late Mary Bartkowski helped me get through the Earth Science Regents exam with almost a perfect score. And to my swim coaches, Walt Lyons and Tom Fahrenholtz taught me a lesson I've carried out with me throughout my life, that hard work and dedication will always overcome natural talent. In fact, years later, I had the chance to coach against Tom Fahrenholtz and Walt Lyons during my time as head coach at Amherst High School boys swim team. My seasons went well, but those swim meets did not for Amherst. There was something walking back to the pool in East Aurora, seeing championship banners and that feeling and the weight of history. I think my swimmers felt it too, and at times looked like deer caught in headlights at that pool. Those banners, the tradition, had a way of reminding me and everyone who walked into East Aurora that we had something special. And for me, it was full circle. Those same coaches that pushed me, challenged me, and taught me the value of hard work were now standing on the opposite side of the pool, even though they were still teaching me. More broadly, I want to recognize the countless teachers, coaches, and members of this community who supported me along the way. When I look back now, I see that so much of whatever I've accomplished began with the people here in East Aurora who took the time to encourage, challenge, and believe in me. Because the truth is, I was not the kind of student or athlete anyone would have looked at and said, he's got it all figured out. I did not. I was still trying to find my way. I was not the brightest student or the most naturally gifted athlete, whether in the pool or on the field. But East Aurora gave me the space to grow. It gave me the chances to work, improve, and keep going. That became one of the biggest lessons in my life. Where you start is not where you have to finish. And the message I hope the students who are here today will take with them. You do not have to have everything figured out now. Most of us do not. But what matters most is that you keep learning, keep growing, keep showing up, keep surrounding yourself with people who challenge and believe in you. The foundation that East Aurora gave me has stayed with me every chapter of my life as a student, as a professional, as a leader, as a husband, and as a father. I also want to thank my family, especially my wife, Angela, for putting up with me, and our children, Nolan and Ashlyn, for their love, patience, and support. I also want to thank my mother and father-in-law who are here with me today for joining me for this opportunity. To East Aurora, the East Aurora Educational Foundation, the teachers and coaches who helped shape me, and to this community that gave me the strong foundation, thank you. This recognition means more to me than I can adequately express, and I am honored and grateful and will always be a proud member in heart with East Aurora. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Chris. Loved hearing the names of the past. Is Tom Fahrenholtz in the room? The reason he's not in the room is because I guarantee he's substitute teaching today at East Aurora High School. We'll watch for Tom when we get up to school. So again, great job, Chris. Thank you. Our next awardee, Kent Diebolt, will be introduced by Eric Diebolt.
This is, good morning. Good morning. This is a great, unique opportunity my brother's given me. Not used to this sort of thing, so if I get to be long-winded, or maybe Rick or Curtis, maybe they can give me the enough. Okay. What a great gathering. Wonderful gathering. Particularly fun. My sister said, Lori said, when we were putting this, together, to be here together, she said, "Oh yeah, this will be great. It won't even be a funeral." Here we are. On account of brevity, I'm going to dispense with any sibling anecdotes or any of that business. I guess I got a couple of minutes, and because I'm unfamiliar with this business, I went to the internet and watched an example of this introduction. So I guess I'm supposed to talk a little bit about our education here. Our educational system, and what came around for us. If we're I'd like to just think about how we're drawn to great beauty and great talent and celebrity and notoriety, and those things they all have merit of their own. But we know that in the end, when all's said and done, it's character that pays off. And as we in the Diebolt clan give my mother primary credit for teaching us those lessons, there are a few other people that I remember from our school days that taught lessons, however sublime they were. I don't, a lot of them can't really capture, but maybe it was the way they interacted with each other in the halls. Maybe it was the way they deterred bad behavior. Maybe it was the way they dealt with Don Lawson. There are names that I was only going to come up with a couple, 2, 3, 4 examples. But Charlie Flieger, for instance, I must have been a small boy when he came to my attention. I must have been a small boy at K through 12 at the Main Street School or something or other. Let me just go through a few names. Ted Clack. Mr. Orrell, he was a science teacher. Boniface Pope. Charlie Larigo. Bob Hatch. I learned about Bob on the other side of his desk after being sent down for one thing or another. I was hoping that Steve or Brooks or Mark might be here today, but Jean Alexander. She wasn't an instructor, but she was there and she made an impression on me. Sterling Rule. Jay Drick. Elba Palmer. I spoke to a guy who's a little bit older than I, was a member of the East Aurora baseball team. Frank Drescher was coaching. And he told me that Frank Drescher was a roommate or an alumni along with Bob Feller. And he brought Bob Feller down to the park to talk to all of his boys on the baseball diamond. Bob Feller. Here's a guy that didn't stay with us very long, Francis Witkowski. Lou Rosansky, Mr. Zaccardi, John Hasselbeck, and many, many more names. Many names. The implication, the idea here is that we seem to be doing a pretty good job in this district. Our excellence isn't always measured in GPAs and SATs and admissions and number of graduates and all those state mandated compliance numbers and all that business. Then we get down here to my brother, and I can tell you that my brother's quite a character. I mean, he has much character. As the oldest of 4, he set a pretty good example for us when he enrolled in Alfred's horticultural and agronomy programs and followed up with that with an acceptance to Cornell University. We watched him 30 or 32 years ago as he began to get his feet under him. We watched him lift vertical access to his shoulders. He's co-written a book with Berta Miguel and Virginia Lorente entitled Immigrant Architect. He's been repeatedly invited to attend and occasionally speak at an international conference on masonry domes and vaults hosted in Spain. He has assisted in developing guidelines for his industry with the ASTM, which is the American Society of Testing and Materials. He has distinguished himself at every turn. I know he's always been a great older brother. I know he's a fine father. And he was always a very kind son. The firm that he's developed carries his character. And without any further delay, I'm really tickled here to bring him up into this rostrum in order to receive this Distinguished Achievement Award. Please welcome my older brother, Kent. How about that? What do you got for me? Oh, jeez. What do you got for me? All right. Thanks.
Thanks for the kind words, Eric. I appreciate your help with this today. I also appreciate a lot of friends here. Some of them came a long way to be part of this. Jamie, Gregory, I see familiar faces. Sometimes I can put a name to them, but anyway, thank you very much. And thank you to the East Aurora Educational Foundation and Foundation leadership for this award. I'm touched and I'm really honored by that. Similar to many of us assembled here tonight, I had the extraordinary privilege of growing up here in East Aurora. Really nothing else like it. You know, when I describe reunions to people, they can't get over it. Like, you're still hanging out with people you went to nursery school, Jamie Gregory, Rennie Selkirk. You know, yeah, I love to see them. It's great. You know, I loved it. This is my mother's hometown. Her family moved here from Boston during the Depression, and my grandparents, Ned and Marion, were deeply involved in community and public service. That was just part of what we modeled, I guess, in our childhood. The Parksdale School, for instance, bears a plaque, you know, the memorial plaque, the plaque that goes up when honoring the builders and the architect and everything else. My grandmother was on that school board, and I just thought that was so cool, you know, that she had been part of something that substantial. And I remember the sense, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but the sense of belonging that gave me. I felt like I was really part of something here. Later, in my junior high school years, our mother Betsy Diebolt and Jenny Gardner and Charles Lamb conceived of and made a teen nightclub of sorts called the Minotaur. And the Minotaur is where we started getting a substantial head start on our cumulative hearing loss, which is kind of where I'm at now. And I remember my mom, she thought it was really important to keep it below 90 decibels. And I think that she got a decibel meter from Sandy Sawarda. And she was the witch looming over this thing to tell the nefarious prodigies to tone it down a little bit. My mom did all kinds of other things too. Painted sets for the Aurora players. She was an artist and really enjoyed doing that kind of thing too. Growing up here was really, truly an experience, and it was a fine balance between being able to roam and explore and being supported, and people supporting each other in this community. These kids, we knew everyone, and everyone knew us, and we looked out for each other, which was. But we were a community in the true sense of the word. Not perfect, to be sure, and one might look at it, and I have friends who've told me this, or we've discussed it. But this kind of exemplifies white privilege, what we have here. And I won't, there's not much more to say other than that, other than to recognize it, and I certainly do at this time. Not a perfect experience. Monochromatic and lacking in cultural diversity, but idyllic. And that's not something you just bring in on a bus, you know. In short, in my experience, I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, I grew up with an unassailable feeling of belonging and a sense of place that helps to develop. I recall clearly, still, walking from Oakwood Avenue. So we moved across from the Olders on Oakwood when I was 4 years old. Eric was 2. And I remember walking to nursery school with Jason on the stone walls in front of the Roycroft, and for years after that. Jumping across the gaps in the wall, we're skinning our knees, falling down, and curiously or coincidentally, last night I stayed at the Roycroft, and I could see the backside of my grandmother's house over here on Park Place. it's really imbued in me, this whole experience growing up here, no question. And a quick story about my brother Eric and me riding our bikes to gas stations all over town, collecting lead wheel weights that had been taken off for balancing wheels. And we would take these wheel weights and we'd melt them down in a small electric crucible in our basement. So imagine the two of us, maybe 7 and 9 years old, spending afternoons hovering over this little pot of fuming molten lead. For years, I told my kids that explained a lot. It takes a long time for lead to get out of the bloodstream. One should say probably, that I did not take full advantage of my high school years. But I do say that I got a great education here in spite of myself. My career path has been twisty with lots of elevation gains and losses. And I departed East Aurora at the end of 1974 and really never intended to leave. I was going to Ohio to work in another nursery. I'd worked here for a while in that already. I never intended to leave, but I'm glad I did. And it's a lot of things would not have happened to me if I had remained here. That's contradictory, and that's just how it is. I'm not going to try and defend it or anything else. And still, my somewhat unconventional business has provided a great ride. I mean, I've been able to learn a lot, travel a lot, use my curiosity and inventiveness to do all kinds of different things. I wouldn't have given that up either. Retirement in East Aurora remains a possibility, if only to determine whether it's true or not that you can't go home again. So we'll maybe give that a test in a few more years when I retire. East Aurora, as I said, never looked this good in our time, and the longer away you're away, the better it looks when you do get back here. It's really a magical place. And when it's Ruby Slipper time, where else would you rather go home to but East Aurora? Thanks very much. Business card. Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah. I'll take this with me. Yes, please. Yeah, thanks.
Ken, Eric, great job. Thank you. Our next awardee is Tim Lafferty, and he's going to be introduced by Jeff Rhodes.
Good morning. We first met Tim in 9th grade at East Aurora High School. And it was obvious from the very beginning that Tim was a good athlete and a strong leader and someone who really pushed other people to do better. After that first year, after witnessing my inept skills at playing basketball, Tim was kind enough to say, Rhodey, let's go to a basketball camp so we can really get better next year. I'm Rhodey, by the way. That's my nickname from high school. And of course, my response was, yes, let's do it. We can get this done. So we did. Of course, during the camp, I broke my wrist during that week. Tim was kind enough to go to the hospital with me. But Tim finished the week as the leading scorer in the league, the camp that we played in. So he did a great job there. During our senior year of football season, we have a coach here, coach, great memories of that time. Laugh said, Rhodey, let's really work hard this summer so we're ready for the football season. We can do great. And of course, my response was, yeah, let's do it. So we ran wind sprints endlessly to get our chance to really be good during the season. Unfortunately, near the end of that season, I hurt my knee and I missed the rest of the season. But Tim was captain of the team, and we went on to be co-champions of the league that year. A few years after college, Tim called me one day and he said, "Rhodey, let's go skydiving next weekend." You probably guessed my answer, right? But that's what Tim Lafferty is all about. He challenges people around him to step up, to work harder, to take chances, because he believes in them. And that mindset has defined him from the high school days all the way through today. In school, he was captain of every team that he played on. He led by example and lifted his teammates up to do better. That same commitment to others carried into his adult life. Through his work with the United Way, as president of the UB Alumni Board, and as board president of the Rural Outreach Center, just to name a few. No matter where he goes, Tim shows up for people. And that's why we're proud to introduce Tim Lafferty as a new member of the East Aurora High School Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Tim?
Good morning. I promise not to talk about sports or injuries. But Jeff and Suzanne, Tom and Catherine, thank you for the nomination. Love you guys. And congrats to my fellow 2026 inductees. Thank you to the East Aurora Educational Foundation and the 2026 Hall of Fame Induction Committee for this prestigious honor. But Jeff and Sue, Tom and Kathleen, my dear wife, I know you guys were in cahoots. And Rick Oler was involved too to help polish up the nomination, just to correct those spelling mistakes. But that's my theme today, just thank yous. I've got a lot of thank yous to make. I want to thank my Lord and Savior for all of his blessings in this charmed life that I've been able to lead. I want to thank my parents, Gene and Carol, for choosing East Aurora back in 1971. My brother Mike is here today, and I'm sure he'll support the notion that we were traumatized by leaving South Buffalo and plopping down on an acre of land on Mill Road. What were my parents thinking? At the time, Mike had just finished his freshman year at Hutch Tech. The Lafferty homestead on Harding Road in South Buffalo was equidistant from Father Baker High School and Bishop Tynan. So which one would I attend? But Mike and I were also in the rotation as altar servers at the old cathedral, which at the time was a feeder system for Canisius High School. So August of '71, we moved onto Mill Road, and my mother arranges a tour of the high school, and we get up there and say, wow, this is pretty cool. It's brand new. It had only been open for a few months. The gym, the pool, the library, no, not the library. And a note of caution to this year's incoming freshman class. Be careful with whom you sit in homeroom. I was an L, Kathleen McClure was an M. We sat at the same table in September of 1971, and in June we'll celebrate 47 years of marriage. So folks ask from time to time, why do you get involved? Why do you do the things that you do? And when I reflect, I think about my father. He was an active, involved member of his community, and I think his influence on me has been lifelong in that regard. He was an usher at St. Ambrose Parish in South Buffalo, and then here at Immaculate Conception in East Aurora. He called bingo regularly at St. Ambrose, and when he'd bring the receipts over to the rectory, the pastor would invite him up for a scotch on the front porch. So there were some benefits there. And for decades, he was an active member at the Knights of Columbus on Senior Nash Council in South Buffalo. He also was a founding father of the St. Ambrose Little League, which lived for decades. And he was very active. He was an elevator mechanic. He was very active in his union and held a leadership position for a long time. And when we got here to East Aurora, he became very involved with the Boosters Club, and worked with a whole bunch of dads here with fellow athletes, making sure that we had the support that we needed up at the high school. Dad was always available when someone needed a yes. My mother is still with us today. She is a woman of grace and accomplishment, and through her years of teaching, interior design, and real estate, it seemed that my mother knew everyone, and everyone knew my mother. That can be a problem when you live in East Aurora. There are few secrets in this town. But I'd also like to say thank you to the great community of East Aurora. What a wonderful place to grow up, develop your relationships, and build a life. Kath and I are blessed that our children were raised here in East Aurora as well. Megan Rose and Patrick Michael are with us today. Megan and Patrick, you have blessed our lives beyond measure. We love you and we thank you for the caring, giving, and beautiful people you are, and both are East Aurora High School graduates. Frank and Nancy Cerny are with us today. I met Frank in April of '16 when Frank received the Community Leadership Award from the University of Buffalo Alumni Association. And Frank, as I'm sure you know, is the founder and executive director of the Rural Outreach Center. In 2016, Frank took the time to get to know me. And he welcomed me to the Rock Board of Directors in August of that year. So I've been able to witness firsthand Frank's leadership, his ingenuity, his commitment to those that are in need. And Frank and his team have positively influenced the lives of thousands of people since the early days of the Rock. He's a man driven by his faith, and he's had a profound impact on me. Frank as a leader, as a pastor, as a teacher, and a friend. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Nancy. East Aurora also supplied me with a bevy of lifetime friends, many of whom are here today. I'd like to at least recognize my buddy Art Unks, who I look up to, a 2025 inductee into the Hall of Fame. Art and Babette, we're so happy that you're here. And I understand that following today's breakfast, the inductees will have an opportunity to spend time with current East Aurora High School students. One of my favorite UB alumni activities was the annual career night, where we had a chance to network with students looking to make professional connections, learn firsthand about their desired career, and for some, just to figure things out. And we've heard that phrase earlier from Chris. I happen to be the poster child of the non-traditional college student. My college diploma should be dated May of '79, but it reads January of '86. I changed majors twice. I took 2 years off from school, and I finally figured it out. I wanted a business degree. So with UB's help and the support of my patient wife, I completed a Bachelor of Science degree from UB School of Management in December of '85. And so my career night advice typically to those students was, relax, you'll figure it out. You know, I wouldn't have the time or the ability to be so involved over the years without the support and commitment of my beautiful wife, Kathleen. Kathy accompanied me to dozens of events over the years, university and otherwise, always with patience, grace, and that incredible smile. And you also found time to co-chair the initial UB Parent Council with me. Darling, I love you, and I thank you. And now, if you don't mind, I don't know what's going on with this mic, but I should leave it alone. If you don't mind, I'd like to recognize and say thanks to several of my high school faculty and coaches. Smart, patient, and committed professionals they were. Coaches and teachers, Nick Cartalis, Dennis Romer, Peter Tomutis, Chuck Holtz, Don Wagner, Hank Busella. Teachers, Tom Fahrenholtz, Chuck Haremza, Assistant Principal Robert Hatch, Mrs. Vera Kaiser. I remember as we headed into our senior year, we realized that we had a little bit more freedom with our schedules and the electives that we could choose. And my mom strongly suggested I take typing. I landed in Mrs. Kaiser's typing class. Everybody together. A, S, D, F, J, come on, K, L, semicolon. I learned touch typing, and then I ended up at a keyboard for most of my professional career in software development. My high school earned typing skills pay dividends to this day. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mrs. Kaiser, for making my professional life less tedious. Bill Kloss, Susan Mullenhoff, Leo Nojam, Sterling Rule. Freshman year, I was a little immature, didn't take my studies very seriously, and after pulling a solid 67 in freshman algebra, Mr. Rule sat me down and essentially said, "Tim, you're better than this. Let's go." And after consulting with my mother, we decided I would repeat freshman algebra with Mr. Rule, and we got things on track. Thank you, Mr. Rule. Dave Schultz, Mark Smith, Tom Splain, Peter Zaccardi. Mr. Schultz knew me from homeroom and English classes, and it was either sophomore or junior year when our English class was unruly, and Mr. Schultz brought me into his confidences. He was convinced that the only way to gain control of his class was to kick somebody out, and he wanted that somebody to be me. Mr. Hatch was in on this too. So you can imagine I felt pretty cool. I was, had to keep a secret with the faculty. The plan was for me to repeatedly interrupt his next class with the people sitting at my table. And with his best acting skills, Mr. Schultz would stand up and kick me out of class. He banished me to House A, in the offices, where I would reside for about the next 2 weeks. He gained control of the class, and I had a hand in it. And I think my grade improved after that, too. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. But to sum up, I've been blessed, especially so by all of you and the relationships that I've been able to build over the years. As today approached, many of my friends heard me quote that great American philosopher Groucho Marx, who once said, "I refuse to join any club that would have me as a member." So 2 things, East Aurora Educational Foundation. What were you thinking? And 2, thank you for the honor of a lifetime. Thank you.
Knew James Schuyler. He published last year a widely reviewed and praised biography of Schuyler called A Day Like Any Other, the Life of James Schuyler. This has been reviewed in the New Yorker, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times, the Times Literary Supplement of London, and many other publications online and in print. By the way, Schuyler's collected poems and the biography are now in the East Aurora Library, ready for your perusal. You might have to stand in line waiting to get a copy. Welcome, Nathan Kernan.
Good morning, and thank you, Paul and the Foundation, for this great honor. After spending much of the past 3 decades living with the life and work of the poet James Schuyler, it is always moving for me to return to East Aurora, where he grew up. What I miss now, however, is the presence of his brother and sister-in-law, Fred and Hilda Reidenauer, especially Hilda, the historian, who were of immeasurable help and kindness to me in my research, especially Hilda, the historian of the family. I don't know if anybody here knew them. James Schuyler was born in Chicago in 1923. His parents were from the Midwest. His mother, Margaret, had a career as an administrative assistant and to various political groups. His father was a newspaperman. They moved to Washington, D.C. when James was about 6, and not long after that his parents divorced and Margaret married her second husband, Burton Ridenauer, a building contractor, and James became known thereafter as James Schuyler Ridenauer. He changed it back to James Schuyler in 1947 when he was 24. "It's good to have your own name," he later remarked. During the Depression, the family moved first to Buffalo and then to 784 Chestnut Hill Road in East Aurora in 1937, when James was entering high school. It has to be said that James's adolescence in East Aurora was not very happy, due to family stresses and his sense that as a gay teenager interested in literature, he had little in common with most of his fellow students. He fled as soon as he was able to college in 1941. He flunked out, and the Navy in 1943, kicked out, and moving to New York City in 1944. But later, when he returned to East Aurora in middle age, in the 70s, to stay long periods with his mother, he found an emotional center here that enabled him to write some of his greatest and longest poems, such as The Morning of the Poem, and A Few Days, which Paul has quoted from, melding daily experiences and observations with memories and reflections. Initially, his ambition was to write short fiction, like the stories he had admired in The New Yorker. But around 1950, he began to write poetry. Free verse inspired, he said, by that of D.H. Lawrence. Soon he met a group of like-minded poets and painters, including Frank O'Hara, John Ashbery, Kenneth Koch, and painters Fairfield Porter and Jane Freilicher and others. The nucleus of what became known as the New York School of the 50s and 60s. And that continues with younger poets today. Although these individual poets are very different in aims and results, they have in common an informal, intimate, sometimes playful voice. Intermittently throughout his life, Schuyler suffered from mental instability, a bipolar condition which led to numerous hospitalizations. Yet his poems are most often characterized by a mood of calm sanity, as though they were a sort of bulwark against his demons. It was actually in the mental hospital in 1952 that he wrote his first published poem, Salute, still one of his most quoted works. I'm going to read it now as an example of his conversational tone, covering deeper feelings that characterize so much of his work. Salute. Past is past. And if one remembers what one meant to do and never did, is not to have thought to do enough? Like that gathering of one of each I planned, to gather one of each kind of clover, daisy, paintbrush that grew in that field the cabin stood in, and study them one afternoon before they wilted. Past is past. I salute that various field. Schuyler spent most of the 1960s living with the painter Fairfield Porter and his family in Southampton, New York, and Great Spruce Head Island, Maine. It was, Jimmy said, much the happiest period of his life, and work of that time is imbued with the physical presence of those places and of Porter's light, dappled paintings, which he once said he hoped to emulate in his poems. When he left the family in 1973, he had a hard time readjusting, and the 70s was a decade of illness and penury. Yet it was when he wrote some of his greatest work, including the long poems written here in East Aurora. By the end of his life, Schuyler's mental health and circumstances had become stabilized, and the decade of the 1980s was mostly a happy one, during which he received increased recognition, including the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1981 and a Guggenheim Fellowship. I was fortunate enough to know Schuyler then, and after he died in 1991, I edited his diary, and later began to work on the biography. It finally came out last August and has already, I think, led more people to discover his work, as I hope many of you today will also. Thank you. Thank you. And this, I guess we'll have to decide should go to Peggy maybe, or we'll figure it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well done, Paul and Nathan. A beautiful picture of James. Our last awardee is Charlie Shedd, and he'll be introduced by Paul Sutton.
Howdy. I'm Wally. This is such a cool. I knew nothing about this award until the geek told me about it, and Shanahan reminded me. So, Charlie Shedd, I met in 9th grade. And it was evident that Charlie's career, well, at least in high school, was looking after the rest of us. He had our back everywhere, and we won't go into that. His career was hospitality, some pretty hoity-toity places. Last night I heard about Bill Murray for the first time, so we'll have to delve into that later. So hospitality. So in 2018, he hooked up with Jose of World Central Kitchens. Everyone knows of World Central Kitchens, yes? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So donate, please. So we'll fast forward. So he was all over the world, many countries, throughout the states, wherever there was humanity crisis. In 2022, I was on Maui when Russia invaded Ukraine. I reached out to Charlie, where are you? Poland. So we had a conversation. Could I come volunteer? And he said, no, I've got 3 million volunteers. We're trying to find them places to live. So thanks, but no thanks. Then later, Haiti. And I wasn't going to volunteer at Haiti because it scares me. I was recently on Maui again when the rains hit, got out just in time. They predicted 20 inches, and it got 40, wiped out so much. The next week, World Central Kitchens is on 3 islands. World Central Kitchens is just a great place, and so is Charlie, a great person. So, Charlie Shedd.
So the last speaker, and I'll keep it to 40 minutes, maybe 45, so don't worry, you're all ready for that. Let's see, I gotta figure out this technology thing here. Okay. So I'm here today at this wonderful occasion in recognition of my work with World Central Kitchen. Certainly not my grades in high school, so it had to be WCK. What inspired me to be part of such an organization really started in East Aurora and at the high school. To be a Blue Devil is much more than just being at the high school. It's being part of this community of East Aurora, which is something very special. And this year, class of 76, we're celebrating 50 years of breaking free from East Aurora High School. Barely, but we did. With all the charm and beauty that East Aurora is, it gives us all privilege. The privilege of community, friendship, and family. From Vidlers and right here at the Roycroft. And when my dad was 16 years old, he tended bar right over there in the front bar when it is no longer there, but he tended bar there at 16, and he tended bar there, and then later his sons and he attended the bar there on occasion, just a few times. And After an evening at the Roycroft, which there were many and many wonderful times, I remember going to the front door of the Roycroft, and before I opened that door, I would say, "Produce great people and the rest follows." And that's the saying on the front door by Albert Hubbard. And I always was able to say, "Produce great people, the rest follows," and walk out the door and go home. That's what East Aurora does. It produces great people. And we have all had those experiences and know those people and have been part of this wonderful community. It gives us values that stay with us. It does this through the teachers that we had and the students that have the teachers today that they look forward to. Many of these teachers, Mary Ellen Glass, Mrs. Birdsall, Herb Schindler, Bill Claus, Bob Kroll, Don Wagner, and a number of them have already been mentioned many times, and rightfully so, because we had great teachers to emulate. We also had, of course, our administration, Don Lawson and Bob Hatch, who kind of tried to keep us all together and make it all happen. We also had unofficial teachers in East Aurora, and a lot of them. One of them, Peg Fletcher, who's here today, is one of our great unofficial teachers who taught all of us a lot. I think back to Tim Buchanan at the Boys Club, and well, the Boys and Girls Club. And Officer Bill Nye, who was a recipient last year, and he was a good cop. He was a good guy. So, and there are so many others that really brought out the best in all of us, even if we weren't ready to give the best, but they showed us how we should and could. That's what makes East Aurora a great community. It produces great people. My hope is that I can live up to the high bar that was set here in East Aurora. After high school, I had a long and enjoyable career with Marriott and Ritz-Carlton. The career with hospitality and specifically in food and beverage took me to 9 different states and the District of Columbia, and worked actually in 15 different hotels around the country. So kept busy for all those years. And the one thing that the career gave me, along with the many opportunities, it ultimately led me to volunteer with World Central Kitchen. And to be able to do that, my background in food and beverage management allowed me to become a part of managing relief operations around the world. World Central Kitchen is an amazing organization, and I'm honored and privileged to be a part of it, and done a number of great things around the world, and glad to be able to say that I was part of not all of them, but many of them. Perhaps the most memorable for me was arriving at the Ukraine border in Poland 9 days after the war started. And it was an immense task when we arrived there, because it was pretty much chaos, millions of refugees coming across the border. We went through and we hired restaurants because it was such a vast territory that we had to cover. We hired restaurants to make the food, and then we served it to the refugees as they came across. And it was a great experience for me. I had probably the best job. My assignment was to go through 5 different countries and check on our operations through the restaurants in all of those countries that border Ukraine. So it was an amazing experience to be driving through Eastern Europe. It was never on my bucket list, but I want to go back, and when the war is over and Russia is back where they belong. And politics there. We hired these restaurants, and they covered all the borders and all the refugee camps. So I had the opportunity to go and see these places and and be able to communicate and relate to the people who, most of all, it was mothers and children and grandparents, because all the men were off fighting. So to be uprooted in their communities and their time was just amazing, because they could only carry so much on their backs and be able to leave their country. Invariably, I would watch mothers cross the border with their children, and they would always look back. And you know what an amazing moment that was for them to look back and see their country and leaving it and not knowing if it would ever be there or ever be able to go home. But they will. We also built a huge kitchen in Poland in a place called Przemyśl, and it begins with a P when you spell it, so don't ask how to spell it. But we built this kitchen there. It was an empty warehouse, and in 10 days they installed all of this equipment with the ability to cook 100,000 meals a day. And so it was just amazing, and it happened in 10 days. I wouldn't believe it unless I actually saw it. My assignment again was to travel through all these countries, which was amazing. Even at one point, we were working constantly, and I looked on the map, and we were going through Transylvania, and there was Dracula's castle. And it was only about a half hour out of our way. And I said to the woman that was with me, like, we can take a half a day off. And so we went to Dracula's castle. So check on that one. It was an amazing experience, like I say, and there were moments of you watch the grandeur of that area and feel like you're on vacation, but then you come back down from the mountains or wherever and go to the refugee camps, and it brings you right back to reality. My sister Cindy, who is also a Blue Devil, she was able to join me through part of it, and the two of us tooled our way through Moldova and Romania and some other places. So that was pretty fun to be able to do that with Cindy. I also I was very first. Oh, that's what it is. I was the very first international war correspondent for the East Aurora Advertiser. And that is, I hold that distinction. I will hold that with honor, Rick. So there were many times when Rick and I tried to communicate, and things were happening so fast and furious. It took a few times, but finally I was at the border of Medica, right on the Ukraine border, and we finally had a chance to talk. And Rick, being the great reporter that he is, I just rambled, and he took things down, and there was an article in the East Aurora Advertiser, so I've added that to my resume as war correspondent. So thank you. The values of compassion and caring, and caring that started here in East Aurora for me, it helped me through some very difficult situations that I've dealt with all over the world, and also in regular life when you come back home. Haiti was one of them. Paul had mentioned Haiti. I spent almost 7 weeks in Haiti, and it gives you an incredible sense of blessing that we grew up in a place like East Aurora. You understand the devastation to that island and the hopelessness and the poverty that is indescribable, but it changed my life. It made me realize that there's nothing that can happen in our world that can be anywhere near what those people experience on a daily basis. So it was a life-changing moment for me to be there, and it took me quite a while to come back into the reality of what we deal with every day. World Central Kitchen was at Top Supermarket, I think the day after, maybe 2 days after the tragedy there. And World Central Kitchen set up a operation right across the street, and they were able to serve warm meals, hot meals, and beverages to the people in that neighborhood that were devastated by what had happened there. And my cousin Mary was a volunteer there, and she joined the WCK crowd, and very proud of her for that. It was also, for me, World Central Kitchen, it was a countless number of hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, volcanoes, wars, fires, and more. And I have all the merit badges now for all the different disasters. And when you work with people that you really learn to love and appreciate, the problem is when we're done with an operation, then they say, we'll see you at the next disaster. It doesn't sound right, but it's true. After returning from Ukraine, I did a presentation at Fox Run about my experiences in Ukraine. And Peg Fletcher has organized an incredibly beautiful day for me to be able to talk and talk more than I should have, but talk and show some pictures of the things that I experienced. So it wasn't just what you see in the news, but I was able to communicate relief efforts there. So I have many people actually that have been so instrumental in helping me do things along the way, both in World Central Kitchen and just in life in general. I'd like to thank my husband, Antonio, who couldn't be here today, but he's been an integral part of my life. And to my family, a lot of my family is here today, and they've asked not to be recognized by name, except my brother Jim. He really wanted to be recognized. So everybody else was fine with it, but not Jim. And then I have many classmates who are here today, and it's great to see all of them. And we've all stayed close thanks to the internets and being able to be in their lives and everybody being able to communicate and having fun. And again, they've asked me not to mention names, people by name, except Bill Shanahan. He really wanted to be mentioned, so Bill. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. This is an amazing honor, and it's a very special moment for me in my life, and I really appreciate it. Thanks to Brittany Newman, who did a wonderful job, and the rest of the East Aurora Educational Foundation for all the things that you do and all the support you give to this community, and especially to East Aurora High School. And finally, go Sabres.
Great job. Well, congratulations to all of our recipients. We're proud to count you as our alumni. And as I said earlier, your achievements, your service, and what shines through is your strength of character will challenge our students, the ones that are here today and the ones you're about to speak to at East Aurora High School, as you serve as role models for our graduates. At this time, please join me in welcoming Foundation President Becky Deckert-Boss.
Bill, did you just call me Becky?
And someone said yes. We just met.
That's right, that's right. Oh, boy. This is an incredibly interesting and entertaining group, and I'm so proud of you all. Thank you once again to the distinguished alumni inductees, and we're so thankful that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to celebrate your achievements with us today. So thank you. As I reflect back on the distinguished alumni events since its inception in 2017, I think of a quote by Albert Hubbard. "One machine can do the work of 50 ordinary men. No machine can do the work of one extraordinary man." And ladies and gentlemen, this is before the introduction of artificial intelligence. Actually, this was written around the early 1900s, but the thought still holds true. This year's inductees are extraordinary people and have helped to make our world such a better place in so many unique ways. We're all very proud of you. And I'd like to think that your experiences while growing up in East Aurora have played a part in shaping your successful journeys. I need to thank a few people today. It takes a lot of coordination to pull this off. Many thanks to our high school principal, Bob Roberts. For organizing this next segment, which follows after the breakfast. And honestly, this is my favorite part. This is where our distinguished alumni go up to the high school and speak to the students in their classroom and sort of share their story with them. The students love it, and it's a great lesson to hear that life's path is more of a winding road, and that you don't always know what you're going to do when you graduate from high school. And like Tim said, relax. It's going to be fine. So if you don't know this, the guests and family members are welcome. We'll meet in the lobby and kind of disperse from there. I want to thank our members of the Distinguished Alumni Event Committee, Rob Goller, Susan McBurney, Don Vidler, Mary Ann King, Drea Kasparik, Jeff Markello, Andy Schultz, Lori Eden, and of course, Rick Oler. Thank you for all that you do to make this a successful event. Thanks to our retired high school principal, Jay Hoagland, for all the communications that he does with the inductees. And thank you to Nick Campoli for videotaping our ceremony today for those that have been unable to attend. And many, many, many thanks to Brittany Newman, who is our development director, for always ensuring that every last detail has been taken care of. I don't know what we would do without you. For some of you that may be hearing about the East Aurora Educational Foundation for the first time, I just want to take a minute to share our story, because it's really unique. It's not a common thing to have a foundation that supports the school district. It was founded in 1988 by a small group of pioneers led by Dr. James Ford. The Ford family lived on Livin Avenue. And our mission is simple. It's to enhance the educational experience of the students at the East Aurora School District. We fulfill that mission by harnessing the creative and the innovative spirit of our teaching staff and administrators. And we provide grant money to bring their ideas to life in the classroom. The generosity of our community enables the foundation to fulfill this mission. And like Brian Russ had said earlier, we've surpassed the $1.3 million mark over the close to 40 years. With our donations and grants to the 2024-25 year alone is $120,000. So there's a lot going on. And when you tour the high school, you'll see some of the grants that are being put to work. So congratulations again to our Distinguished Alumni 2026. Thank you for taking precious time out of your schedules to reflect on your many years at East Aurora. May it enlighten you and allow you to take a walk back in time to see just how far you've come since your days here. The path is never straight. There are many twists and turns, but what a rewarding trip it's been for all of you. We also thank all the family and friends that are here to celebrate with you. Remember, the criteria for nominating are in the program, and anybody can fill out an application on the website. And by the way, I just want to take 1 second to point out the programs that you have in front of you. Have a written summary about all of this year's recipients and a list of past recipients. And there's even some descriptions of some of the grants that we've done over the last couple of years. So they're really interesting to read. So that's it. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful weekend. For the recipients, we've decided to move the photo up to the high school. we can meet in the lobby. And I would say just try and boogie on up there pretty quickly, because I think the first class is at what time? 9:45. 9:45. Okay. Thank you, everyone.